I have seen many sunrises, and with each one, I have learned a thing or two about life. One of the most important lessons that time has taught me is that breakfast is not just another meal. It is the foundation of the day, the fuel that keeps the body moving, and the anchor that keeps the mind sharp. Yet I see so many seniors, people my age, skipping it like it is some optional task. That, my friend, is a dangerous habit. I know how easy it is to shrug off breakfast. Maybe you wake up without much appetite. Maybe you think it is not necessary because you're not as active as you used to be. Or maybe, just maybe, you have fallen into the habit of just having a cup of coffee and calling a meal. I have been there. I have done that. And I paid the price. Let me tell you something from experience. Skipping breakfast is like trying to drive a car with an empty fuel tank. You may push it for a while, but sooner or later, it will sputter, slow down, and leave you stranded. Your body works the same way. When you wake up in the morning, your body has already gone through hours without food. Your blood sugar is low. Your energy reserves are running on empty. Your brain is waiting for nourishment to function properly. If you deny it that fuel, what do you think happens? Fatigue creeps in. The mind gets foggy. The body feels sluggish. And before you know it, you are caught in a cycle of exhaustion and irritability. I remember a time when I used to skip breakfast often. I would wake up, have a glass of water, and convince myself that I would eat later. Hours would pass, and suddenly, I would feel dizzy or weak. My hands would tremble slightly. My mood would shift from calm to irritable in an instant. I would forget things, simple things like where I put my glasses or why I walked into a room. At first, I did not connect the dots. I thought it was just part of aging. But then I realized that on the days I ate breakfast, I felt different. More alert, more in control, more alive. That was when it hit me. Skipping breakfast was robbing me of the energy I needed to truly enjoy my day. I know what some of you might be thinking, but I am not hungry in the morning. I get it. Appetite changes as we age. But let me tell you a little secret. The body adapts to habits. If you do not eat breakfast regularly, your body stops expecting it. That does not mean you do not need it. It just means you have trained your body to ignore its own needs. The good news is you can train it back. Start with something small. A banana, a piece of toast, a handful of nuts. Anything to break the fasting state and give your body the signal that it is time to wake up and function properly. Now, let's talk about something serious. Health. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to nutritional imbalances. Skipping breakfast does not just make you feel tired. It increases the risk of serious health problems. I have seen it with my own eyes. Friends who developed diabetes, struggling to control their blood sugar because they were skipping meals. Others who felt lightheaded, had falls, or experienced sudden drops in blood pressure. When you do not eat in the morning, your body struggles to regulate its sugar levels. That can lead to dangerous spikes and crashes, and at our age, those are not just minor inconveniences. They are real threats to our well-being. And let us not forget the impact on the heart. Studies have shown that skipping breakfast increases the risk of heart disease. I do not need to read studies to know that. I have felt it in my own chest. The days I skipped breakfast were the days I felt my heart working harder than it should. The days I ate well were the days I felt steady and strong. It is a simple choice, really. A plate of food in the morning or a greater risk of heart trouble down the line. I do not know about you, but I choose the plate of food every time. Let me tell you another thing. When you skip breakfast, your body starts craving unhealthy foods later in the day. It is a trick the mind plays on you. You tell yourself you will eat a good lunch, but by the time noon rolls around, your body is starving for energy. And what does it crave? Sugary snacks, processed foods, anything that can give you quick energy. But that quick energy comes at cost. A crash, a feeling of sluggishness that drags you down instead of lifting you up. I have lived that cycle, and let me tell you, it is not a fun ride. Now, I'm not saying you need to eat a grand feast every morning. I'm saying you need to give your body something nutritious, something that provides protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Eggs, oatmeal, yogurt, whole grain bread. There's so many good choices. And no, coffee alone does not count. I used to think coffee was enough. A hot cup maybe with a little cream, and I was good to go. But then I realized that coffee is like putting a temporary patch on a leaking boat. It gives you a false sense of energy, but underneath, the leak is still there. You need real food to keep that boat steady. Some people say they do not have time for breakfast. I understand that life can be busy, even in retirement. But let me ask you this. Do you have time for fatigue? For weakness? For a foggy mind that forgets important things? Because that is what skipping breakfast gives you. Taking 10 minutes to eat something in the morning is not an inconvenience. It is an investment in your energy, in your health, in your ability to enjoy the life you have worked so hard to build. And here is something else to think about. Breakfast is not just about physical health. It is about emotional well-being too. I have spent mornings sitting at the table with my family, sharing a simple meal, talking about the day ahead. Those moments are priceless. They set the tone for the rest of the day. Even if you live alone, taking the time to sit down, enjoy a meal, and start the day with purpose makes a difference. It reminds you that you matter, that your day is worth beginning with care and nourishment. I know change is not always easy. Habits are stubborn things. But if there's one thing I have learned, it is that the body responds to how we treat it. Give it the right food, and it rewards you with strength. Neglect it, and it reminds you with weakness. I've been on both sides of that equation, and I promise you, eating breakfast is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to stay strong, sharp, and full of life. So, my friend, do not let another morning pass without fueling your body. Do not let another day begin with an empty stomach and a tired mind. You deserve better than that. You deserve energy. You deserve health. You deserve a day that starts with nourishment and strength. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, make a choice. Choose breakfast. Choose to take care of yourself. And trust me, your body will thank you for it. Now, let's clear some common questions. How does eating breakfast influence social interaction and mental well-being in senior communities? I have lived long enough to see the world change in ways I never imagined. Technology has taken over. People move faster. Life feels different. But one thing has remained the same for me and for so many others in my generation. The power of a good breakfast, not just for the nourishment of the body, but for something even greater, the nourishment of the soul. I have seen it firsthand, the way breakfast brings people together. In senior communities where loneliness can creep in like a shadow, that first meal of the day is more than just food on a plate. It is a lifeline, a moment of connection, a chance to see familiar faces, share stories, laugh a little, and feel like you still belong. I have sat at many breakfast tables where the simple act of eating toast and drinking coffee turned into something far more meaningful. A conversation that lifted someone's spirits. A joke that made the whole table chuckle. A comforting presence for someone who might otherwise have spent the morning alone in silence. You see, as people age, the world can start to feel smaller. Friends pass away. Family members get busy with their own lives. Mobility issues make it harder to get out and about. Before you know it, the days start to blur together and the loneliness settles in. But breakfast provides structure, a reason to get up, a place to go, a familiar routine that reminds us we are still a part of something bigger than ourselves. When you know someone is expecting you at the breakfast table, you show up, even on the days when you don't feel like it. And once you sit down and start talking, that heavy feeling of isolation begins to lift. I have seen people walk into the dining area looking tired, shoulders slumped, eyes heavy. You can tell they have had a rough night. But after a few minutes of sipping coffee and chatting about the weather or an old memory from years ago, something changes. Their posture straightens. Their eyes brighten. A small smile appears. That is the magic of human connection. And it happens every morning around the breakfast table. There is something comforting about routine. When you eat breakfast with the same group of people every day, a bond forms. It is not forced. It is not rushed. It is just natural. A quiet sense of belonging. You learn each other's habits. Who likes their eggs scrambled and who prefers oatmeal? Who always asks for extra jam? Who needs a little encouragement to finish their meal? Over time, those small details add up. They become the threads that weave a community together. And let's not forget the joy of sharing stories. The breakfast table is where memories come alive. Someone starts talking about the old days, and before you know it, everyone is reminiscing about childhood mischief. First jobs, great loves, the way things used to be. Sometimes the stories are funny. Other times they are bittersweet. But they always remind us of one important truth. We have lived, we have experienced, and we still have so much to share. There's also something about breakfast that makes people more open. Maybe it is the warmth of the coffee, the slow pace of the morning, the comfort of being surrounded by friendly faces. Whatever it is, I have noticed that breakfast is when people let their guard down. They talk about their worries, their aches and pains, their hopes for the day ahead. And when someone listens, really listens, that is when healing happens. Loneliness loses its grip when you realize you are not alone in what you feel. Mental well-being is a fragile thing, especially in our later years. The mind needs stimulation just as much as the body needs nourishment. Conversation over breakfast provides that stimulation. It keeps the brain engaged, sharpens memory, sparks curiosity. I have seen people who barely spoke when they first arrived at a senior community slowly come to life through morning conversations. At first, they just listen. Then they start to nod along. Eventually, they share their own thoughts. And before long, they are right in the middle of the discussion, laughing and engaging like they did in their younger days. Depression is a real challenge for many seniors. It sneaks in quietly, often unnoticed at first, but isolation feeds it, makes it grow stronger. Breakfast fights back against that isolation. It provides purpose, a sense of normalcy, something to look forward to each day. I have seen people who once felt lost regain their spark simply because they had a place to be in the morning, a seat at the table, a group of friends waiting for them. And let's talk about the little joys, the small but meaningful moments that happen during breakfast. The way someone passes you the butter before you even ask because they know you always need it. The way a friend remembers that you prefer tea over coffee and pours you a cup without hesitation. The way an unexpected compliment, "That color looks great on you today," can brighten your whole morning. These are not just small gestures. They are reminders that we are seen, that we matter. I have also noticed that seniors who eat breakfast in a social setting tend to take better care of themselves. When you are alone, it is easy to skip meals or just grab something quick and unhealthy. But when you sit down with others, you are more likely to eat a balanced meal. Eggs for protein, fruit for vitamins, whole grains for energy. And when you see others making an effort to stay healthy, it inspires you to do the same. That is the power of community. Of course, not every morning is filled with deep conversations or heartfelt moments. Some days are quieter. Some mornings feel routine. But even on those days, just sitting among others, hearing the soft hum of conversation, feeling the presence of friends nearby, it makes a difference. It keeps the loneliness at bay. It reminds us that we are still part of the world. I have been blessed to experience the simple yet profound joy of breakfast among friends. I have seen its impact on others. I have felt its warmth in my own life. And if there is one thing I know for sure, it is this. No one should eat breakfast alone if they don't have to. Because that first meal of the day is not just about feeding the body. It is about feeding the heart, the mind, the soul. It is about connection. And connection is what keeps us truly alive. Are there specific foods or breakfast habits that seniors should avoid to prevent negative health effects? My friend, sit with me a while. Let me share what the years have taught me. The way we break our fast in the morning, the first bite we take after a long night's rest, sets the course for the entire day. And in the winter of our lives, we must tread carefully. These old bones and weary hearts cannot afford the reckless indulgence of youth. I have seen too many dear friends suffer the consequences of poor breakfast choices. Some simply did not know better. Others knew but did not listen. And so they paid the price with sluggish days, aching joints, troubled hearts, and restless nights. I do not want that for you. No, I want you to greet the morning with strength, clarity, and the kind of energy that makes life worth living. Many think that breakfast is only about filling the belly, but it is so much more. It is about feeding the body with wisdom, And wisdom tells us that not all foods are our friends. Take sugary cereals, for example. I have seen grandchildren shovel those brightly colored morsels into their little mouths with such delight. But for us, those same spoonfuls are poison. They send our blood sugar soaring like a bird in flight, only to bring it crashing down just as fast. And when that happens, exhaustion follows. The hands shake, the mind clouds, and the heart. The heart struggles under the weight of it. I have known too many who thought they were simply getting older when, in truth, their breakfasts were robbing them of their strength. And then there are the pastries, the sweet rolls, the donuts that tempt us with their soft embrace. Once upon a time, I indulged in these morning treats, believing that a bit of sweetness would lift my spirits. But I was a fool. The weight of sugar and refined flour sat heavy in my stomach. My limbs grew sluggish, and my thoughts became as thick as fog. Worse yet, my doctor shook his head at my rising blood sugar, my expanding waistline, and the creeping danger of diabetes. That was a lesson I learned the hard way. Now, I leave those temptations to the young, for their bodies may yet forgive them. Ours will not. Let us not forget the silent danger of processed meats. The bacon that sizzles so invitingly, the sausages that fill the air with their intoxicating aroma, the ham that gleams so perfectly on a breakfast plate. Ah, how they deceive us. They whisper promises of satisfaction, but what they deliver is trouble. I have seen good men, strong men, suffer under the weight of too much salt and fat. Their blood pressure rises, their hearts grow weak, and before they know it, they find themselves in the clutches of a cruel fate. I have buried too many friends who did not heed this warning. Do not make the same mistake. And then there is coffee. Now, do not misunderstand me. A good cup of coffee can be a comforting companion in the morning. I have warmed my hands around many a mug, breathing in the rich aroma as the sun crept over the horizon. But I have also seen the jittery hands, the racing hearts, the sleepless nights that follow when too much of it is consumed. There was a time when I did not know when to stop, when I relied on cup after cup to chase away fatigue. But what I was really chasing was my own undoing. Moderation, my friend, that is the key. Some think that skipping breakfast is a wise choice, a way to save time or cut calories. I tell you, that is folly. I have watched those who do so, and I have seen what becomes of them. Their energy wanes, their minds grow dull, and when hunger finally overtakes them, they eat with reckless abandon, consuming more than they ever intended. Our bodies need nourishment, steady and sure. Depriving them only leads to imbalance, and in our later years, balance is everything. I have spoken much about what to avoid, but I would not leave you without guidance on what to embrace. For just as there are foods that betray us, there are those that sustain us. The warmth of a hearty bowl of oats, the richness of an egg cooked with care, the sweetness of fresh berries untouched by the corruption of artificial sugars. These are the allies of the wise. A slice of whole grain bread with a smear of nut butter, a handful of nuts, a spoonful of yogurt filled with life-giving cultures. These are the choices that keep the body strong and the mind sharp. And let us not forget the simple yet profound gift of water. I have known many who wake and reach for juice, believing it to be the picture of health. But too often, it is a hidden sugar trap. I have found that the pure, cool taste of water refreshes better than anything else. It clears the mind. It awakens the body. It prepares the soul for the day ahead. I do not say these things to burden you, but to free you, to give you the wisdom that I have earned, sometimes painfully, so that you may walk an easier road than I did. I have lived long enough to know that health is not something to take for granted. It is a gift, a delicate thing that must be cared for each and every day. And what better time to begin than with the first meal of the day? So, my friend, I ask you to think before you eat. Let each bite be a step towards strength, not weakness. Let each choice be a promise to yourself, to your future, to the ones who love you and wish to see you thrive. The morning is a sacred time. Treat it as such. Make choices that honor the life you have been given. And should you ever falter, remember this. It is never too late to change. Never too late to choose health over habit. Never too late to begin again. I have walked this path before you, and I have seen where it leads. Let my footsteps be your guide. And when you sit down to breakfast tomorrow, may you do so with the wisdom of one who knows better and the strength of one who chooses well. What practical steps can caregivers or family members take to ensure seniors prioritize a healthy breakfast every day? My friend, sit beside me and listen well, for this is a lesson worth learning. I have seen many winters, and I have learned that nothing shapes the day quite like the first meal. Yet, too often, I have watched as those in their later years neglect their breakfast or choose poorly, and they do not even realize the harm they are doing to themselves. I have seen the tired eyes, the sluggish limbs, the forgetful minds, and I have known that much of it could have been prevented if only they had started the day with wisdom. But here's the thing, my friend. Many seniors do not make these mistakes out of stubbornness or carelessness. No, it is often because they are left to their own devices, with no one to gently guide them toward better choices. This is where caregivers and family members must step in, not with force, not with lectures, but with love, patience, and understanding. The first step is the simplest, yet it is often overlooked. Be present. I do not just mean dropping in for a quick visit or making a hurried phone call. I mean truly being there, paying attention, observing what is happening in the home of the one you care for. Too many elders sit alone in the morning, staring at an empty table, deciding that it is easier to skip breakfast than to prepare something for just themselves. Loneliness does strange things to the appetite. I have known many who have lost their desire to eat simply because they have no one to share a meal with. When you are present, when you sit across the table and share that moment with them, breakfast becomes more than just food. It becomes connection. It becomes warmth. And that alone can make all the difference. Now, let us speak of practicality, for good intentions mean nothing without action. One of the greatest gifts you can give is to make healthy choices easy. I have seen seniors who would eat better if only the right foods were within reach. But instead, they find their kitchens filled with old habits. The sugary cereals, the processed pastries, the salt-laden convenience foods. These are the easy options, the ones that require no effort. And when energy is low, effort feels impossible. So what must you do? You must be the hands that clear away the bad and replace it with the good. Fill the shelves with whole grain options, fresh fruits, and proteins that nourish rather than harm. Make sure that what is available is what will serve their bodies well. There is another truth that I have learned, and it is this. Food should not feel like a chore. If a meal requires too much preparation, too many steps, too much effort, it simply will not happen. I have watched this play out time and again. The intention is there, but the will is not strong enough to fight through the inconvenience. You must make breakfast simple. Perhaps it is setting out a bowl and spoon the night before, so that there is no excuse to skip the morning meal. Perhaps it is preparing easy-to-grab options like yogurt with nuts and berries, or pre-sliced fruit ready to be enjoyed without any fuss. The less effort required, the more likely it is that a healthy meal will be eaten. And let us not forget the importance of routine. A scattered morning leads to scattered choices. I have found that those who wake and eat at the same time each day are far more likely to maintain good habits than those who leave it to chance. If you're caring for someone, help them build a rhythm. Wake with them, if you can. Set the table. Make breakfast feel like a natural, expected part of the day rather than something optional. The body thrives on routine, and so does the mind. A morning anchored in a good meal sets the course for steady energy, clear thinking, and a day lived well. Now, I must speak of something delicate but necessary. Pride. I have known many elders who resist help, not because they do not need it, but because they do not want to be seen as incapable. They will refuse a meal rather than admit that they struggle to prepare one. They will insist that they are fine when, in truth, they are not. This is where patience must be your greatest tool. Do not force. Do not shame. Instead, offer help in ways that preserve dignity. Instead of saying, "Let me make your breakfast," say, "Let's have breakfast together." Instead of pointing out their struggles, praise their efforts. Let them feel that they still have control, even as you quietly ensure that their choices are leading them toward better health. And my friend, never underestimate the power of making food enjoyable. Too often, healthy eating is seen as dull, as something that takes away rather than gives. This is not so. A well-prepared meal, even a simple one, should bring pleasure. If you're caring for someone, take the time to make their breakfast something they look forward to. A drizzle of honey on warm oatmeal. A handful of fresh berries that burst with sweetness. A perfectly boiled egg with just a pinch of salt. These small things turn a meal from something necessary into something cherished. I must also remind you of water, for too many forget its importance. I have seen dehydration steal the clarity of mind from even the sharpest elders. Confusion, fatigue, dizziness, all creeping in simply because the body is lacking the most basic necessity. Encourage water in the morning. A simple glass upon waking can do more good than many realize. And if plain water does not appeal, then a warm herbal tea, a slice of lemon in cool water, anything that brings hydration without burdening the body with sugars or artificial ingredients. Now, I know that not every morning will be perfect. There will be days when appetite is low, when fatigue is high, when resistance is strong. This is the nature of life. But consistency is what matters most. Do not let one missed meal turn into a habit. Do not let one poor choice become a norm. Gentle persistence, steady guidance, and unwavering care. These are the things that make the difference. I have lived long enough to know that health is not something to be taken for granted. It is something to be nurtured day by day, meal by meal. And for those who have the honor of caring for an elder, you hold in your hands a great responsibility. But it is also a great privilege to help someone you love greet the morning with strength, to ensure that they begin the day not in weakness, but in wellness, to know that because of your care, they will rise with more energy, more clarity, and more life. So I tell you, do not take this task lightly, but do not see it as a burden either. See it as an act of love, a chance to give not just food, but a better life. And when you do, you will find that the rewards are great, not just for them, but for you as well. For there is no greater gift than knowing you have helped another live well. And that, my friend, is something truly worth doing. If you like today's discussion, don't forget to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated with every video we release. And yes, don't forget to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Every comment is special to us. Your feedback helps us improve further. We'll continue to meet you in every new video on this channel. So until next time, take care.